Good morning, friends, and welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to take a garden tour of the backyard. It is looking rather spectacular right now, if I do say so myself. And so we wanted to show you this space kind of as a whole. Instead of doing some big, huge, massive garden tour of the whole property, we're just going to kind of keep it contained here to the backyard. There's plenty of gardens to show you, but we are going to kind of fight the sun this morning. So we're going to try to hit the areas that are starting to go into the full sun, and then we'll move on. So this includes the dahlia gardens, the patio, the deck boxes, you name it back here in the backyard, we are going to look at it. Speaking of deck boxes, let's take a little mosey on up right quick here to the up on the back porch, because these guys are just looking fabulous right now. You were with me when we planted this, I don't know, it was less than a month ago, several weeks ago, and look how gorgeous it is all filling in. Could not be happier with this. Remember when I planted the verbena? Do you remember how like leggy and thin and spindly it was? Well, putting it in great soil with Biotone and that Proven Winners continuous release fertilizer, they have thickened up and they are gorgeous. They are just filling in. Everybody is behaving quite nicely with each other. The verbena is blooming. The angelona with those beautiful pure white flowers are just a great accent for one another. And then of course we've got the brand new, this is a brand new mini vista that will be available next year in 2025, along with this kufia. This is a kufia, right? So like a bat face. Really fun plum, light, kind of lilac lavender colors on it. Just beautiful. And then my ever beloved saffron finch, right? So saffron finch and the Super Bena pink cashmere are new this year, and I had them in the deck boxes last year. Love them so much, they had to come back. And then look at these dahlias. So these dahlias will be available next year. Look at that. I mean, just darn near perfection as far as I am concerned. The dahlias do require deadheading. So you can see this is an old bloom right here, obviously, kind of yucky looking. So what you do is you just come in and snip it off here. But the beautiful thing about dahlias is when you deadhead them, and when I say deadhead, I'm talking about maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks. Just come through. Don't have to do it every day, but that encourages those new flowers, and they will produce flowers all summer long. But as far as all of this working together, just could not be happier. When we go down on the other side, you'll be able to see the petunias hanging over, the silver falls hanging over, so you'll get a whole different perspective there. And then look how well this container's doing. This has only been planted, I don't know, less than 2 weeks. See how the caladiums are filling in? This is the blushing bride. And then of course the Double Delight apple blossom begonia. This is the one where I was having a little bit of trouble because I put a hosta in here. It got way too much sun, it was getting burnt. But both of these are rated as sun to shade, and so they are loving life. There's 2 caladiums and 5 begonias in there, and I just love how it's filling in. And then of course the hanging baskets, these we'll probably be able to see them a little bit better when we go down off the back porch rather. Kept it really simple with the Dichondra Silver Falls, which if this starts to get too long, we can easily go ahead and prune this up. And then that is the Selenia Yellow Begonia. They could be growing a little bit better, a little faster. These are not on automatic irrigation. These are called, Jenny has to hand water, and sometimes I forget. Just keeping it real here for you folks. All right, now let's talk about the beds here along the patio, right? So when we built this patio, I don't know, was that 4 or 5 years ago? Of course, we installed and we did all of this ourselves. In fact, we've got some pictures of when we did it. I think it was like 2020, didn't we say it was? So yeah, so we're going on 4 years now, and love these beds because, again, saffron finch here in mass. You were with me again when we planted these. They are doing lovely. I love how they're growing up. They're coming over. They're just gorgeous. I do have sometimes, I think, a little bit of snail or slug damage in here. So I just have to kind of keep an eye on it. We don't really deal very much with budworms here. We've only had one season that we had some budworms. Praise the Lord, we've not had them since. But when you start to see, like, look right here. When you have, not Brenna thinks there's a bunny in here. When you start to have damage like this, odds are it's going to be a snail or a slug. For me, it's typically a slug that has the damage on that. Other than that, they're doing great. Y'all, one Cleome. This is it. One, right here. Look how big it is. Of course, the Sprinter Boxwoods are doing great. The white Shishi camellias are putting on massive new growth. Now, I might have to come in here and kind of prune these back. Do not be afraid to prune your annuals. They will be just fine, I promise. Yes, for a little bit, you might lose your flowers. That's okay. They're going to bounce back just great. We're going to go, just for a second, we're going to back up because I've got these gorgeous clematis on here. Now the roses are they're in that in-between stage. This is the Scepter d'Isle, and she is still putting on beautiful flowers. As it is finished, like a stalk is finished, a cane is finished blooming, then I go ahead and I cut it back. So I've got a couple that are still going strong because my goal is to kind of keep them pruned back as far as deadheading them so that they can put on new growth. So behind each of the 3 David Austin roses, I have a clematis, and it is the exact same clematis. It goes from like good to what Jerry is showing you. Then the middle here is just kind of like, okay. But then down here, this one is loving life. So you can see that it is absolutely a beautiful creamy white in the center, and then the edges are more of a nice lavender, which all 3 of these David Austins are pink roses. So this just goes really well. Got these from Brushwood Nursery. If you're in the market for a clematis, I would highly recommend checking out Brushwood Nursery because they just do a great job with clematis. The Roses of Sharon, or Rose of Sharon, this is the chiffon white, is covered in buds. We have got buds galore on this thing. Cannot wait for this to bloom. When we had the big storm, when we had all the flooding and the wind, it took this Rose of Sharon and almost kind of smushed it. And so a lot of these limbs right here, they got kind of laid down. They really should be much more upright, but that downdraft just kind of came and pushed it. Now, as it blooms, I will come in here and keep it kind of cleaned up. That way my rose gets plenty of sun and the clematis gets plenty of sun. But it's kind of hard to prune it right now when it's covered in buds. But, you know, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And then look at Little Quickfire. This is a little Quickfire, but she is a very happy, healthy little Quickfire and just about to really open up with her blooms. She's in the bud stage. The Quickfire has a very open bloom on it. It is a panicle hydrangea. So it's a very light and airy, as you can tell, right? It's not going to be a really tight, compact, say like a little lime punch or a pufferfish. And so it's really light and airy, beautiful. And then, of course, I have Yin and Yang Viburnum on each side right here, but I like how this fills in along with the forest pansy tree, because when we're sitting on the back porch or we're sitting on the patio, this gives a bit of privacy. Not that there's anything back there, but it just makes you feel more nooked in and tight in and snugged. And so these are doing great. Now, we'll make our way this way. A week or two ago, I went ahead and pulled out the Airmance Mulberry Nemesia. It was just struggling in the heat, and so I pulled it out and went ahead and just filled it. This is the same white Angelona that I have up in the deck boxes. There are 4 plants in here. With this urn being kind of a short urn, we don't really like to put plants in here that do a massive trail because it completely hides the pot. So we like to either go vertical with this or a mounding. And so I chose this time just to do the Angelona. It will fill in, this is a fairly new planting, fill in nice and thick, and the edges of the plant will just kind of touch the edge of the pot, but you'll still be able to see the pot completely by itself. So both of those are done that way. I'm gonna let Jerry go on that side of the wall, and I'll go on this side of the wall. One, gardenias are starting to bloom. I've got just my first little buds on it. This is Chuck Hayes. It gets a nice good size, but we have found that it does really well for us in the winter. We rarely have a lot of burn on it, and it gives me those double blooms, which I adore. There's 2 here, then the 9 bark, and then there's 2 more over there. What is coming in, look at this, y'all. The Incrediballs. The Incrediballs are really starting to show some lovely color on them. Of course, the Incrediballs are the improved Annabelle hydrangea. Really, look how upright these are, right? I know they're not in full bloom yet, but we have had pretty good wind. We've had a lot of rain, and look how tall and erect and upright these guys are. They are not floppy. I think I have one bloom right here that's on the bottom that's just kind of hanging, but these are doing so well. These will be 4 to 5 tall and wide. The idea is that at maturity that they will form a hedge, that you won't have this little bit of space here between them. We had done the hedge one time. We had the first round perished, and so I think it was through our fault that there was a chemical that was used. Anyway, it was a whole thing, and we didn't know that it would affect hydrangeas. And so we lost them, so we had to replant them, and they are doing great. So love these. They're just beautiful. I mean, they are just looking spectacular right now. And then a little update over here with the Tyrannia. I love using Tyrannia. This is the Catalina Pink. You can use Tyrannia in a container as a spiller. You can use it in a hanging basket. It will, spill over. You can also use it as a ground cover. So this is that Catalina Pink, sun or shade, does really well as a ground cover. The bumblebees and the honeybees love it. We're just starting to get into some light here, and the bees are starting to come out, but just does great coverage. Really minimal effort on it and does lovely. This is a blue chiffon rose of Sharon. So the chiffons are a double bloom, and because they are a double bloom, they tend to be, ooh, look, the first bud. They tend to be less prolific in their seeds. And so if you have a problem in your area with Rose of Sharon, then obviously maybe you don't want to plant them. I have found that I will have like 2 or 3 babies a year underneath my Roses of Sharon, but I can easily pull them out. But yeah, getting ready to have some blooms right here, which I love because you have that blue with the pink, and it's just lovely. All right, let's come this way, and then we'll work our way around. There's a lot of things to look at. Again, you were with Mimi and myself when we planted this bed with some of the new perennial introductions from Walter's Gardens and Proven Winners. Give you an update. This is the phenomenal lavender. I was out working on the other side, and I could smell just how absolutely divine this lavender is. It is a gorgeous lavender that will get nice and full, handles the heat and humidity like a champion, and does those classic lavender blooms that we love. You can come in here when it's in bloom, and you can cut it, collect them, bring them in the house. I have a vase in the house actually from I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I just let them dry in the vase, and then you have dried lavender. Oh, fantastic. The Coreopsis, this is the new Coreopsis, is doing nice. It's getting ready to bud and bloom. So when I planted it, I cut it back so that it was nice and tight. A couple of them are a little slow on the outside, and then you've got these that are getting nice and big over here. This bed is filling in quite nicely. If you remember, the only thing that was in here was the Scentlandia, but look at this Liatris. So first of all, you've got the brand new, this is like that big sky salvia, and you can see how well it is doing. And this bed is not on irrigation, so when I say it's pretty neglected, I'm not joking. The Liatris is doing quite nice. This will be nice and tall. The one over here is kind of doing what I suspected that it might do. So it does get really tall, right? And then you've got a couple of pieces that have fallen over. So this might be a good idea if you wanted to put some sort of like support around it, because this will be really tall with those purple stems, purple flowers. And so I might have to give those guys a little bit of support right there. The deck boxes, you can see starting to fill in. That Dichondra Silver Falls is coming over and doing quite lovely. We've got the Veronicas, the Phloxes, everything, even the Russian Sage. Look at that. It's starting to bloom. How lovely. I love it. So this is just the Denim and Lace doing very nice right here. Everybody's just looking good. Peonies are just kind of hanging out. They did their thing and they are done. And then as we come around here to the backyard beds, we haven't done a ton with the backyard beds. The plantings, the annual plantings that we had are doing quite nice. They're hanging in there, looking lovely. Keeping the roses, of course. This is that Julia Child rose, keeping it pruned, and you can see that new growth that we have coming in, and even some new buds. So trying to just keep these kind of nice and managed, and everybody is doing great. The blueberries are in. We've had lots of fun eating the blueberries, and yeah, quite fun. Fairy Trail Bride. So Fairy Trail Bride is that cascading hydrangea from Proven Winners. She's been in the bed for, I think this is her third or fourth year, and this is the first time she's bloomed. I have a couple there's two, I think, in each bed. And so she is finally starting to come in on her own. We will see. I debate whether or not to leave her in here, because a lot of times I think it's the winter damage that happens because this does bloom on old growth. And I think sometimes they're a little bit too exposed here. So if I were to move them, say, along the bed here in the back by the creek, under the trees, she might be a little bit more protected. But yeah, loving how she is doing. Nye Bevan is that David Austin Rose. He is taking off. Need to come in here and do a little bit of deadheading, but just a lovely, soft, pale yellow. You can see, got lots of buds on it, and quite nice doing that in a container. We're coming in to daylily season, and they are about to just explode in color. Of course, your daylilies will bloom at different times, and yeah. All right, now we are battling the sun, my friends, and I do apologize. Just did not get out here soon enough. But this bed, right? So you have one phenomenal lavender. So when I tell you that this is a great lavender for the South, here you go. This is one plant. Could not ask for anything more. I want all the lavenders now. Snowdrift is a drift of a lovely white right here. We planted it nice and thick and heavy. It is doing exactly what we wanted it to do. Our double play doozy spireas, they had a beautiful, beautiful flush of color on them. I mean, they were absolutely stunning. So what I have done on these three, I have gone through and deadheaded them. They're already pushing out new growth because these are a reblooming spirea, like they just keep blooming. But I did come through and deadhead three of them. You can see over here that I have two that I have not done yet. And you can see like the difference between it, right? So those are those old blooms. And I just simply came in and pruned them, right? Like you can see there's new growth here, right? So I just came in and snipped off the old heads. And I'm doing that. This is the first time I've ever done this, but we do have the signature experience here June 21st, and I want the garden looking as primo as I possibly can. And one, it's just a cleanup issue, right? It makes the plant look neater and tidier and cleaner. But also because these are continuous rebloomers, I'm hoping that I can get another beautiful flush of flowers in time for the signature experience. So I've got two more to do, but I really left these here so that you could see the difference just in the neat and tidy factor between pruned and not pruned. So that kind of gives you an idea on that. If you want to go ahead and deadhead your spireas, go for it. If you don't worry about it. I've never done it before. First year I've ever done it. And I do like the way it looks. Now, Summerific hibiscus. Here we go. I have got 3 Lilac Crush Summerific hibiscus here. I planted 3 when Walters was rolling them out as new introductions for the next year. I probably could only do 2, but there are 3 in here and they are huge and glorious. I'm probably gonna have to come in and just kind of edge up just a little bit so that Chandler can keep the grass kind of maintained. But we have got buds already forming on this. So the Lilac Crush is more of an upright columnar hibiscus. It does beautiful lilac lavender flowers. Sometimes will take on a hinge of blue and just those massive dinner plate size flowers on it. So when these are in bloom, they are just unbelievably gorgeous. They suffered a little bit of that damage too from the wind, so they got flattened out a little bit. Hence, this is why some of these are laying down like this. If that happens to you, you have basically 2 choices. You can do one, what I did, and I just left mine alone, right? And then, or you can prune them back some and they will reflush and go upright. I just left them. I was like, you know what? They'll figure it out. Some of them went a little bit more horizontal. They make them fatter. And then if you have a bare spot in the middle, you'll have new growth that comes up and all will be well. Here we have, oh, y'all, I cannot wait. So these 3 hydrangeas right here. The 2 hydrangeas on the outside, these are Little Lime Punches. And Little Lime Punch has quickly become one of my all-time favorite hydrangeas because look how tight this plant is. It is really tight and compact. The stems have a little bit of a reddish hue to them. There is contrast between the leaves and the stems and then the flowers. The flowers come and they are these tight, massive white, almost iridescent white flowers on them. They are gorgeous. When we first planted these, because our friends at Spring Meadow sent me 3 and I planted them in late summer. It was hot. I lost the one in the middle. You know what? Sometimes it just happens to all of us. So I was just left with 2. Well, then pufferfish was introduced and I got a small pufferfish and I was like, well, perfect. So it kind of worked out well that the one in the center had died because this is a pufferfish. Now notice the difference when we're talking about stem color. Pufferfish is a lovely green, right? So you don't have quite the color contrast on the stems like you do on Little Lime Punch, but we've already got buds forming. Pufferfish, of course, is another great panicle hydrangea, really nice, thick flowers on it. And then what makes it so fun is at the end of the season, it puts a little tuft on the end. So it's really great. Now, let's move back over here just for a second. All right, now just moving over just a little bit, give you an update on the annuals that are in the bed. Y'all, they're doing great. There's nothing else to say about it. There is irrigation in these beds, but when I say that this is on minimal irrigation, it really is. Like there may be 2 drip lines in here. It is not heavily watered. Of course, when we planted, I'm telling you y'all, the difference is putting that biotone starter fertilizer in the ground and then that Proven Winners continuous time release fertilizer, all the difference in the world. I have water soluble fertilized these one time in what, 2 months, I think, 2 months or so. These are extremely all cold tolerant annuals. Of course, we have the Aromanth Mulberry Nemesia. This was White Knight Alyssum, and then the new Campfire Marshmallow Bidens. And they have grown together exactly how I wanted them to grow. They're just a beautiful kind of you can't see any soil. They're all growing together. The only thing that I really had to do was about for the first 2 weeks or so is to come out here and water them. Because the irrigation is not full coverage, I needed to make sure that everybody was getting some good water. I have a hose right over there. It reaches, so I just pulled the hose out and everybody did really well. So we did this planting in the 4 corners of these backyard beds. The only one that is showing any kind of the signs of not looking really perfect, dare I say that word, is the very far one underneath the maple tree. And I really think that is simply because of the maple tree, the Nemesia is not getting full sun. The first three here, tons, full, all day sun, and they are doing really, really well. I'm gonna keep an eye on them. I want them to be able to make it to the signature experience, which is June 21st. But sometimes the Nemesia and, well, all three of them, because they are very cold tolerant, they can take a frost, they can take, you know, even dare say close to a freeze. And, but sometimes they don't really do well in the heat and the humidity. So we're fingers crossed that the heat and the humidity do not overtake these before June 21st. June 22nd, I don't care. They could all just up and die and it would be fine. We're just trying to get to the Creekside signature experience. All right, now, gonna come this way. We're gonna hit the rest of that in just a second, but I wanna give you an update on this flower bed because we have not really shown it to you since we planted it. And y'all, it's doing great. I mean, I love it. Now, this is on irrigation. You have the drip tubing in here, and it is doing its job. We have the snowdrift, Super Tunia Vista snowdrift, to kind of echo the snowdrift that is by the patio. And then we came in with, these are vertigo grasses. So the vertigo purple fountain grass, you can tell that it is going to be a large grass. So this is going to be the largest purple fountain grass, much more columnar, and it loves water. It loves heat. So it is starting to really kind of take off. Once it starts to take off, it'll get nice and tall. So that is doing well. And then look, the upside, this is the upside key lime. This is that climbing sweet potato vine. It too, maybe it takes just a little bit to get going, but man, once it goes, it goes. I have 4 of them in this bed, and they will be up to here, the top of the roof, by the end of the season. They will hide the lovely old ex-chicken coop run here. So this will be full coverage and do really well. And then down here on this side, kind of on the blank side of the back of the garden shed, we've got 2 more vertigos and then the Suncredible sunflowers. They are doing well as well. You just have to come in and do a little bit of deadheading on these. When you prune them and deadhead them, they make a tighter, compact plant. Everybody's kind of taking their time getting going, which is fine. That doesn't bother me a bit because I know that once they start growing, they're growing and they are very, very happy. The pink of the butterfly bushes are doing really lovely. I love the color of that with the Rockin' Deep Purple Salvia. Now, if you remember, when we planted these, they were like trees. They were less than perfect plants when we planted them. Gave them a nice little prune. Again, use your Biotone starter fertilizer, that Proven Winners continuous release, time release fertilizer, and they are taking off. It takes a little bit of time, but they will just flush out and they are beautiful. My irises are blooming. This is eyeliner. This is from our friends at Walter's Gardens. We've got 5 plants, 3 and 2 over here. And then of course the Super Tunia Mini Vista Hot Pink. So everybody is filling in quite nicely. And then I went ahead and brought the sundial that was unique stone. It was in one of the outside beds and it just wasn't working when we planted the Nemesia. So I brought it over here and I think it looks really sweet right here. So this bed as a general whole is doing really nicely. We have a random sunflower. I think this is from, I think that's from the bird seed. So I'll probably just go ahead and pull it out. But yeah, so everything in here is looking quite nicely. Now, behind Jerry is the dahlia garden. And 1, I'm gonna tell you, I need to weed, but 2, they're starting to bloom. Of course, dahlias, you've got bloomers of all different times and seasons, right? So you've got your early, your mid, and your late, and they are starting. Now, the dahlias, they are a combination of ones that Laura sent me from Garden Answer. That was a couple of years ago. And I fell in love with them so much, then I went and ordered a bunch myself. So this is a mix of both ones that she gave me and then ones that I ordered myself. This is the one variety, and this is where you need to come in and deadhead, right? So you need to come in and deadhead these guys so that the energy will stop going to these and go into your new buds. But this is a massive, very prolific bloomer. Next door, look y'all, look at this sweet kind of butter yellow. This is one that I had gotten. No, I don't know the names, and so forgive me with the names of the dahlias. I am not really stuck on like this is that variety, because I just enjoy them. I just come out here. They are a kind of a hodgepodge as far as like their placing, and I don't care. We tell both our kids and our employees at this time of year, we're like, please come out here after work, day, whatever, and cut the dahlias. Now, I do know that this sweet little thing right here, this is Betty Ann. And the reason I remember that this is Betty Ann is because my maternal grandmother, her name was Betty, and then my mama is Ann. So of course, when I had Betty Ann, that's like two of the most important women in my life, I had to get Betty Ann. And she is that sweet little pon-pon, just beautiful, cute little blooms on it. Love that. So the dahlias are coming in. I need to come in here, like I said, I need to do a little bit of weeding. I need to do some deadheading, but they're gonna be great. We'll be in full bloom for the signature experience. And then we're gonna turn a little bit, give you an update because people ask about this, the phantom hydrangea bed. So years ago, gosh, that would have been 4 years ago, maybe. We had a surplus of the phantom hydrangeas. Phantom hydrangeas are very similar to limelight hydrangeas. It's just different breeding, but they are very, very similar. And we had a ton of them that we had grown that they were just not selling. So it was to that point of like, what do you do with them? Because we've been in the containers for, I don't know, for a long time, and we needed to do something with them. So we're like, well, let's just plant them. So that is what we did. We came through and planted it along this line. These are cryptomerias. We planted these trees before we even built our house. And so, because our property line is just right back here for privacy. The phantoms are doing great. This is not on irrigation. Hot, hot afternoon sun, no irrigation, terrible, horrible soil, red clay, thick, compact. I mean, you can probably see like right here. I mean, this is just gosh awful soil. And they are doing well. They are covered in buds, doing quite nicely. Yes, there's some weeds in here. We need to get the weeds out. But I'm trying to add more hardy native perennials to this that will give us lots of beautiful color throughout the season. So I've got some Solidago, I have got some Rudbeckia. Mimi has some fun perennials that are beautiful, like yellow bloomers that are nice and low that are blooming right now. So this fall we're going to divide some of hers and put those in here. But the phantom bed is doing quite nicely, getting nice height, right? So because they're panicles, you want to prune them. We prune them, give you an idea where you can see on the camera. All right, I pruned it right here. So this is where it was pruned, and this is already the new growth this year, right? So that is how great they bloom, as far as they grow rather. And then Jackson was the one that came through and mulched this bed for me. Before he mulched it, he threw down some rose tone and then he mulched it, not irrigation. I'm telling you though, y'all, feed your plants, feed your plants. Your shrubs, your perennials, one time a year, that is it. But you will see a huge difference when you begin feeding your plants, whether it is your shrubs one time a year or your annuals. Yes, they're a little bit more, you know, they're a little bit more fussy and they require a little bit more, but they are so worth it. So I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and head over, because I wanna show you like the Angelonas and the forest pansy bed real quick and give you that last little nugget of a garden tour. All right, so here we are on kind of the back side of what I call the Gatsby Gal bed, because it has a Gatsby Gal hydrangea in here. But I wanted to kind of show it to you from this angle. Now, you're gonna notice, if you haven't already noticed already, things are a little bit messy back here because we took down what we call the tractor shed. So the tractor shed was right in front of me. I know you've seen it in videos. It is just gosh awful, y'all. Like it was the very first structure that Jerry ever built on this property. I was pregnant with Megan when he built it. And so it served its purpose, but it was starting to fall apart. So we have torn it down. Hence, this is why Jerry's truck is right here. We've got gas cans right here. It's a bit of a mess back here in the back. We are going to rebuild another structure there, but that will be like late summer, fall, winter. So we're in the middle of construction back here. Boom chocolatas. Look at these, y'all. Look how pretty. There's a total of 3 right here, and I love them. They get some height to them. There's a different color to the foliage. They look great. Here in front, these are Limelight Primes. So I've got Limelight Primes. I've got, I think, 5 of them through here with the Gatsby Gal Oak Leaf Hydrangea. Typically, we think of Oak Leaf Hydrangeas as being shade hydrangeas, and that's historically true. Gatsby Gal, though, can do full sun, and this one gets full sun. It's probably about, I don't know, maybe 8:30 in the morning. She's getting the first light, and she will stay in the sun until like 5 o'clock. This is on irrigation, which I think is really critical to make sure she gets enough water, but we'll do beautiful flowers. And then of course in the fall, the foliage on your oak leaves, really nice deep burgundy color, is gorgeous. As we come around to the pathway, it is just such a beautiful, just so pretty. I'm loving it. These are the new spiderworts from Proven Winners. I showed you these. These are the Webmaster. They're doing great. Yes, they are growing, but they're getting height to them. They're not, I don't have any runners yet because typically the spiderwort can be very aggressive. Time will tell. I'll let you know. I'll give you an honest review, but this is supposed to be a much more controlled plant, and I do enjoy that beautiful light lavender color on it, on those flowers. I've got a honeybee over here that is starting to, there she is, really starting to go for them, but just a really nice color addition to this bed because I don't really have anything, a whole lot of blue in this flower bed. To give you an update on the alliums, this is Serendipity. You can see that she is about to just burst forth with color. This is a beautiful purple. Honeybees love it. It is just a beautiful plant. And I just realized that my little owl had fallen over. So let's get the owl back up. There we go. Yard art is so much fun to add to your garden. The Perfecto Mundos, we took out the Scentlandia because it was just getting way too aggressive. It was way too happy in this flower bed. So we took it out and rehomed it down by the creek. Perfecto Mundos are loving this spot. They are putting on lots of beautiful new growth, getting nice and wide to them, and I cannot wait to see that beautiful flush of color later on in the season. Then, let's see, let's go ahead and hit the Shasta Daisies. Banana Cream 2, it is doing quite nicely. Now, I don't know what is going on with my dianthus, y'all. You know, you got some wins and you got some losses. Banana Cream 2, man, it is loving life and doing great. Here between, you got penstemons and baptisia, and then of course the massive daisies, another hydrangea right here. Everybody's doing lovely, as is the forest pansy bed, right? It's doing great. Cannot complain about it at all. And then as we come back here, kind of back where we started again, this is the Perfectly Pink, Angel Face Perfectly Pink Angelona, and then the Double Up White Begonia. I was battling, or am battling, rabbits in my garden, and they had completely eaten my Blew My Mind Evolvulus. I mean, they were gone. They were just gone. Read that wax begonias are more rabbit resistant. I'm happy to report that they have not touched them. So I think I have found a successful combo of plants here. This is a relatively new planting, so everybody is still kind of getting adjusted. I can already tell though that my Perfectly Pinks are darkening up. That foliage is getting nice and dark. And then of course you can't be unhappy with the amount of blooms. So this will fill in nice and thick. When these double ups are nice and mature, they will be touching each other in a beautiful mound and kind of soften the edge right here. And then just to wrap it up, I do want to share with this because I'm just noticing this for the first time. So yay, that's why we love doing garden walks, is because basically this time of year, you're finding new things all the time that are blooming in your garden. So we have two right here. This is the Pugster White Butterfly Bush. And look, this one is really starting to open up and show that beautiful color, that beautiful white. And then look, next to my balloon flowers, I love balloon flowers. They call them balloon flowers because you have your bud in this stage that looks like a beautiful, nice balloon that's getting ready to pop. And then you can see the progression of flowers and they open up. I just think it is the coolest plant. It's just so much fun. Like, gardening should be fun, and you should have fun plants in your garden. For me, this is a fun plant. A balloon flower is a great fun plant. So I do have the blues in here, and I think up closer to the garage, I have some white ones in as well. But everything is filling in lovely and just so nice. Yeah, we just couldn't be more happy with how everything is growing and developing. We're kind of in maintenance mode right now. Of course, doing lots of making sure that your plants have the water that they need, because with us in North Carolina, a zone 8A, the heat and the humidity is a big threat to our garden. So we've got to make sure that everybody is well watered and taken care of. As a heads up, unfortunately, my friends that are in my area, I saw my first Japanese beetle yesterday. So Japanese beetles are not a native insect. They don't have any really natural predators, and they can defoliate a plant seemingly overnight. They particularly love like roses, crepe myrtles, Japanese maples, those kinds of things. And so if you are trying to be prepared and combat them, then let you know that I saw my first one yesterday, which is not fun at all. But yeah, just as a heads up on that. But other than that, we're just going to kind of maintain, keep everybody happy, kind of do what we can and make sure that, you know, we combat nature as much as we can on certain things. But some things are just out of your control, like Japanese beetles. You try, but you know, it is what it is. As always, we hope you have found this fun, informative, inspirational, and we so appreciate all of your love and support. Y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.